Hi everyone, my name is Jay Pellis, and welcome to my series on the Selvas SensePlayer. A few quick things before I get started, a little bit about myself. I've been an assistive technology instructor for many years now, so I'm very familiar with portable book readers and music players in teaching them and using them personally. And regarding Selvas, or what some of you may know as hymns, and probably still do know as hymns, I'm calling them Selvas because in May of 2024, when this is being recorded, at least in the United States, they changed their name from Hymns Inc. to Selvas North America. That's Selvas. And they did that because in the United States, there's a pharmaceutical company named Hymns, and so they've been getting calls and emails about that Hymns. So they changed their name to Selvas. And outside of the U.S., as far as I understand it, they're still known as Hymns International. So I've got today, though, a BrailleSense 6 and a SensePlayer OCR. And in a way, they're very similar. The BrailleSense is an Android tablet with more writing capabilities, writing documents, writing emails, browsing the web, where the SensePlayer is more of a media consumption device where you're listening to podcasts, reading books, and especially reading documents. Some features, though, have been ported from one to the other device. For example, on the BrailleSense last fall, they received an update that allows you to install Android applications from File Explorer, as well as browse a list of applications that Selvas thinks are accessible through their app installer. That was brought over from the SensePlayer. Brought over from the BrailleSense, or at least very similar to the BrailleSense, is the podcast app on both devices. When you, say, download an episode and decide to exit the app without playing it, you hear the message that says, saving downloaded files saved. So that's on both devices, the BrailleSense and the SensePlayer. So you could see a lot of different things are being ported back and forth between both devices. So with the text-to-speech situation, it's a little different. Both products use the Vocalizer voices. On the BrailleSense, it's called BrailleSense Vocalizer, and hopefully on the SensePlayer, it could be called SensePlayer Vocalizer or something similar to differentiate it. Now, these voices are completely separate from Android text-to-speech, which are engines and voices that you could install through File Explorer, through an application file, or Selvas even offers some on their app installer. And they're used for third-party apps or other apps like Bard Mobile for navigating books, maybe doing a speed control. You'll hear a voice say what the speed of the book is. Or maybe a game that might need self-voicing, so they'll use the Android text-to-speech voices. I'm sorry, I'm checking on my notes here. And okay, so the BrailleSense now can use Vocalizer or Android text-to-speech voices of your choice throughout the entire system. That's from documents to book reading, podcast, media player, and also third-party apps using the Selvas mobile screen reader. Unfortunately, though, the SensePlayer cannot, and you think that it would be able to, since the BrailleSense can. So I'm going to demo today real quick how the BrailleSense does this, and I'd like to ask Selvas to add this to the SensePlayer. So I'm set up here. I've got the BrailleSense set up very much like the SensePlayer. The BrailleSense is Google certified, so that means you can download apps from the Play Store, use apps that need Google services, things like that, and the SensePlayer isn't. But all isn't lost, because you could still install apps from File Explorer, as I said, or you can install anything you want as long as you find them online. Find these files called .apk files. Those are Android applications, just like you're installing them something on Windows. And when you do install something from a website like that, you can only install free applications. If you've purchased something and a device is not Google certified, which means it cannot use the Play Store, you cannot log into the Play Store and download your purchased app. But if it's a free app, and lots of things are, like text-to-speech engines and games and stuff like that, you could install it just fine from a File Explorer. So I'm going to show a couple of different things of how the BrailleSense and SensePlayer work by default. I'm going to have the SensePlayer here, File Manager, and the BrailleSense here. They're both using Vocalizer Samantha, which is the default. I'm at the default speech rate as well. And let's look at a casino game called Pontes Game Zone. That's Pontes Game Zone. So I'm going to go into the SensePlayer first, and I have RH Voice set as my Android text-to-speech engine. But as you can hear, this is using the Sense, what we want to, I guess we can call Sense Vocalizer. So I will go into the Game Zone, and I'm going to go to Blackjack, and I'm going to go to New Hand. Now, what you'll hear is, you'll hear like the cards being dealt, but you'll hear the RH voice, it'll be a male voice speaking, and at the same time, I can still move the focus around since it's using the Vocalizer voice. And you'll hear this.
10 of spades, 5 of hearts, total 15. Dealer's visible card is Jack of hearts.
So as you can see, I am moving the focus around, and you just heard RH voice speak there. And so, unfortunately, as you can see, I'll exit. You can't use you can't use Android TTS on the SensePlayer. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate that game on the BrailleSense because it's going to do the same thing. But what I am going to do is really quick go into the voice settings of the. Sorry for the noise here. I'm using a portable recorder. Go into the voice settings of the BrailleSense. The SensePlayer also has a voice settings option.
Voice type, BrailleSense Vocalizer 1-2
So this is voice type, and let's see what else I can choose. I can choose
voice type, Android TTS 2
Android TTS. So I can go, if I go hit a key to move forward,
speech services by Google
I can choose any Android voice that I have installed. I might have eSpeak, Google Text-to-Speech is in here. That can be installed on the SensePlayer as well, if you choose to do so. So I'm going to hit R for RH voice. Oh, it won't let me do that, which is fine. I can just go over to it, hit confirm.
Voice options.
So now I'm on the BrailleSense.
Task name Sir Art, top of document.
And
Sir Arthur Conan.
I actually opened up a document, which is what I want to do. As you can hear, it is not using Vocalizer. It is using RH voice.
Sherlock Holmes.
So if I press the enter key for continuous reading, something that you would want to do on the SensePlayer when you're reading a document, if you wanted to keep reading.
Continuous reading mode. A study in Scarlet. Part I.
So it's reading.
Being a reprint from the reminiscences of.
So I think that's a little slow. I can speed it up.
The army. Increase voice rate. Increase voice rate.
Well, let's make it a little slower than that.
Increase voice rate. Decrease voice rate.
So it looks like I have to hit enter again.
Manual reading mode. John H. Watson.
Oops.
Continuous
there
reading
it goes.
Mode. John H. Watson, MDD delay of the Army. Medical Department. Chapter 1. Sherlock Holmes. In the year 1800.
So it's reading.
My degree of Doctor of Medicine.
And as you can see there, it is reading a document using an Android text-to-speech voice. Unlike the SensePlayer. Now, what I'll do, just for the heck of it, is I will go back to... Hold on a second. Let me go back
File Manager F.
to the voice settings.
Voice type Android TTS 2.
I'm still on Android TTS.
Voice name speech services by Google 1.
And instead of RH voice, why don't we go to eSpeak to see if that works.
Voice options V.
Oh, and it does. And it's a little louder, and that's okay. You can use the main volume button to lower that a little bit. And when you're using the Android text-to-speech voices, this would work similar on the SensePlayer. You have to use the main volume to control the volume of the voice. That's just how Android works. And the way I'm showing you now is how normally Android would normally work on a regular Android device, like a phone, or if it's certified or not, a phone, or a tablet, or something like that. You wouldn't have two voices or two engines at the same time, like you do with the Sense devices, at least on the SensePlayer and on this. So I forgot eSpeak. I can go back into my document reader here, and I can tell it to read again. I'm actually going to lower that speech rate again, just a little bit. I keep bumping the enter key here. So, as you can see, it is letting me read with voice of my choice. I used RH Voice, I use eSpeak, and unfortunately, if you go to Document Reader on the Braille, the SensePlayer, all you have is the Vocalizer voices. And there's
Sherlock Holmes, A Study in Scarlet, Hardeye, being a reprint from the reminiscences of.
So to reading that, unfortunately, there's a bug in this version of the SensePlayer where in the document reader you're supposed to be able to change Vocalizer voices, so you could change to a different female or male voice. That does not seem to work in this most recent version. So that's how that works. I would like to point out that I am signed out of Google services on the BrailleSense, and that these... wait, hold on. Let me just check one little thing here. Just want to make sure that I demoed everything that I want to demo. So I'm going to say these voices do not have anything to do with Google being certified, or the device being certified, rather. Doesn't matter if the device is certified or not. Hymns, if I go to the
File Manager, App Installer.
App Installer, this is where you could download the applications that Hymns offers you.
Amazon Alexa 119.
For example, and there's a lot of different ones. I'm just on the SensePlayer here. RH Voice and eSpeak are on this list, and they're not on the list right now because I already have them installed. But as you can see, Hymns offers two Android text-to-speech engines and many, many voices. There are, I think, 3 English voices on RH Voice, but there are many, many others on eSpeak. And again, you can get text-to-speech engines online. There's one called Festival Lite, or Flight, F-L-I-T-E. That has a lot of other voices as well. And again, nothing to do with certification. You just install them through File Explorer. You can actually get to settings on the SensePlayer by going into the eSpeak. Let me demonstrate this real quick. You go into the eSpeak app, and you go to More Options, and you go to General Text-to-Speech, and you'll see now we're in the normal Android settings screen of any kind of Android device. This just took us in there, and it says so our engine now is RH Voice. And what I do on the BrailleSense is I go in here, choose my engine, make sure it plays properly. There's a play button at the bottom that lets you test it.
This is an example of speech synthesis in English.
And you can make sure it works. And then I went into the BrailleSense voice settings and I changed the engine to what I wanted. I always went in to the Google settings area first. And on the SensePlayer, as I just showed, I went through the eSpeak app and did that. But on the BrailleSense, you can go into... hold on. You can go into settings.
Set time
and then you go to Android system settings, and you can get into text-to-speech settings that way. But since the SensePlayer didn't have a way to get into that, you can get into that through eSpeak, Bard Mobile, the accessibility section of settings in that app. RH Voice has an area where you can go into the text-to-speech settings that way. So there's a bunch of different ways to get into text-to-speech. Real quick, I'm going to switch the voice back
Android TTS
to
voice type BrailleSense
BrailleSense Vocalizer, and we'll go back to Samantha,
Voice options.
and there we go. So, as I said, this can be done with or without the device being certified. So having this on the SensePlayer, especially because it's a media player, and more especially because it's a book reader, you're just going to have a choice between Vocalizer and any other engine or voices that they have installed, just like the BrailleSense. For those that prefer a synthetic voice when reading a document, they would have that choice to do that. If you want to stay with Vocalizer, you don't even want to mess with any of this. You get your SensePlayer, you like the voices that are there. Don't do any of this. You can just use them, and that's a user's choice. And that's why I'm putting out this small, I guess you can call it a little episode. It's not a podcast yet, but it'll turn into one. So, yeah, that's that. I think this would really give users a choice of what they'd want to use, especially with reading books, reading documents. So if you do want to have this feature added to the SensePlayer, just like the BrailleSense has it, definitely contact Selvas North America or HIMS International. I'll put the website links in the description below, the video description, and you can contact them through the various email addresses on their sites. I'll also put a link to download the Pontes Game Zone app that I demonstrated. It's a really neat little game with blackjack and slot machines and things like that. You could run it on any Android device. And what you would do is you would go to the website. I'm going to use one called apkmonk.com. That's apkmonk.com. You search for Pontes Game Zone, Pontes Game Zone, and there won't be any headings on your results page. You'd have to look for the line that says something about your query Pontes Game Zone, and right underneath that is a link for any results that come up. Now you'll see only one result because there's only one app with that name. So you'd go into that app page, look for the first heading with the name of the app, and then there'll be a download link. You download the APK file, copy it over to your SD card or flash disk of your device that you want it, and open File Manager and just press enter on it, and it will install for you. It's pretty easy. Just like installing an application in Windows, as I said, it works great. The app will show up in the All Apps section, just like it is. Just like it is for me here. Hold on a moment, and I will demonstrate that. So if I go to All Apps, I can go up to Pontes Game Zone and go back into it. So next time, I'm going to continue with what I want to do from the beginning here, before I thought of doing this text-to-speech episode, and that's talking about third-party applications on the SensePlayer. There are many, many, many applications that you can install. Most of them that work with TalkBack will work with the Sense mobile screen reader as well. Or you can feel free to try some from the APK Monk website that's in the description and that I just discussed. But I have many, many, many third-party apps that I've tried since the SensePlayer came out, probably at least 100. And I've got at least 50 of those that I think would be a great match for people that want to do anything from currency identifier, Disney Plus, and who knows what I'll find. As I mentioned, I'm using the SensePlayer OCR model, so it does have a camera, so you can use that with a currency identifier app or Google Lookout, and that does work. Some applications that do require Google services still will work. They'll just give an error message that you have to click out of that says this app doesn't work with Google services not installed. So you just click OK. Most likely it might still work, and that's in the hymns mentioned in the SensePlayer manual as well. I keep saying hymns. I think a lot of us will be doing that until we get used to the new name, Selvas North America. So if you have any suggestions, any features that you want to see, or third-party apps that you want to see, feel free to contact me on my Mastodon or Facebook links below. You'll see them in the description. And please like and subscribe, and I will definitely be back. Before the end of the year with another episode. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.